Started, I know we've had a lot of deaths in our community. We've also had another pretty good outbreak at our nursing home with the COVID, and we need to continue to pray for all these people. Some people are still not taking it serious, and but it is serious, and we need to pray for our nation. No matter how the outcomes of elections go, we're still Americans, and we need to pray for whoever is our president and our leaders. So I would lead us in an opening prayer, and then I'll call the meeting order. Father, we do thank you for your blessings that you give to us, and we thank you that we have the freedoms to vote and to express ourselves, Father. And I do pray for our nation, Father, that you could heal any division among our people, Father. Father God, I pray for many families that have been infected by this pandemic, this COVID virus, Father. And we know that we've lost loved ones in our community, and we have this outbreak at our nursing home. So I pray for each individual there, Father. Father, just be with us tonight as we discuss the business of the city. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order. And the first, by the way, we have Mr. Fred and Herbie both here. So we have everyone here tonight. The first order of business will be to adopt the agenda. So I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. One, I would say go ahead and mark item number 12 off of your agenda. So with that correction, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Herbie makes the motion, Kagan seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Okay, the next item would be to approve the minutes.
I had one edit to the minutes. I voted nay on the reinstating of the funding for Main Street.
Okay.
And it was unanimous in the minutes as it is now.
Any other corrections or any other corrections? Okay, I would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes as corrected.
I'll make the motion.
Nicole makes a motion, Fred is second, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Okay, the next item would be the monthly bills. Any questions on the docket?
No, sir.
All right. We must have done better this time, huh? Okay, I would, anybody else has any question about the docket?
No.
Okay, Harvey makes a motion to approve it. Have a second? Fred seconds, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, Mickey.
Okay, we've got three things right here. The Art Council has put together the art crawl. It's going to be just storefront windows, and 10 buildings on Main Street are going to display 13 artists, and that's going to be on Main Street from November 9th to 23rd, and it'll be just something you can walk by and take a look at. Last week was the National Main Street National Trust Pass Forward Conference. We attended that, and that will complete our trainings for Mississippi Main Street for the year. Border Valley was highlighted in one of the sessions run by the National Policy Director, Renee Kuhlman. And at the coming November meeting next Monday, there's been discussion about who the new officers are going to be, and we'll have new officer selection next Monday. And that's the three things. Any questions, comments?
Vicki, are you going to also speak on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission?
Yeah, that's another agenda item, isn't though? That's,
It's a separate item.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, the planning commission did not meet. The planning commission did not meet, so you can check off item number 6. And then, of course, the Historic Preservation Committee, y'all met. There were several items in there. Nikki, if you want to cover those, or
um,
if
At
we,
the meeting,
you
we
can
had
do
two
7 and
questions.
8 together if you wanted to there, because
Chad Franks resigned, and we're going to be looking for another member. So he said he would stay on until a replacement was found. That's the thing about Chad. What we would like to do is that in terms of penalties and enforcement to the 2006 zoning, this was before the Preservation Committee or Commission existed. And we would like that if what the Preservation Commission does be added to the penalties and enforcement section, so it's consistent with the overall structure of what's going on right now. If you look in the current zonings, enforcement section is 114.01. And the city council would need to make a motion to put the HPC decisions in it, or the historic district into that as well. We'd ask that. That's something that y'all can look at, and something we're suggesting. And the other thing that we have is that we're a certified local government right now. Mississippi Department of Archives and History has a number of grants out. We would like to apply for a grant on November 5th, and this would be for design guidelines for the Historic Preservation Commission. It would be a booklet that anybody who has a building in the district could look at and say, this is what generally works and what generally doesn't. Anyway, we've got a November 5th deadline on that, and we just need kind of an okay from the city to apply for that. As you know, the HBC is actually an arm of the city government.
No, it's actually an intent to apply that's due.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to let them know that we intend to apply for the grant. So our intent to apply is the deadline is on.
I'm asking Daniel if it would even take approval from the board, since the commission.
Yeah, it's gonna be city action that we're responsible for.
Okay.
I know that they're like an arm of us, so we would need to authorize them as a board to go out and appoint somebody with the authority to
Apply for the grant.
apply and
Okay.
sign off on the paper.
If not, I have the
Yeah.
authority given to me by this board to sign off if we need to do that.
But
Because I've been
Daniel
involved
says
in
we
a lot of
would,
this.
it would require a motion from the board to let the commission apply for the grant. So Herbie makes that motion, so
Second?
Kagan seconds. All in favor? So that gives y'all the authority to apply for the grant. Now it's back up to the putting the historic preservation, the fees, penalties. That would be amending a city ordinance to do that. So we would have to get Daniel to
Do an amendment.
do an amendment to the zoning order. I just want to make sure we do it the right way. It would have, because we are amending an ordinance there. I think they would entertain a motion, but go ahead, Kagan, I'm sorry.
So it seems like right now the HPC doesn't really have any teeth, right? And we need to give them some.
That
Yeah.
looks like what they're asking for, yes.
If we amend the ordinance, that's a 90-day process? Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
Does Daniel have any, is there a faster way to do that? Or to achieve the same thing?
And amending it would require,
What are they concerned about?
would it take, is there any faster way of doing this? without
No,
it.
I mean, it's supposed to be unless it's effectively impacts safe and healthy, safety and health of the citizens, then the rules are supposed to allow the citizens a time for us to talk about it, them to learn about it, them to come in and voice their opinion about it before it goes into effect.
So basically, he's saying no.
Yeah, I mean, if it was
Daniel,
something related to
not-
COVID, there's
Not in terms of speeding up a change of an ordinance, but is there, the HPC needs the tools to enforce. And right now they don't have any official ability to penalize someone who tries to break their ruling. So is there another approach to giving them kind of a stick to enforce their decisions?
I hadn't read the original ordinance, so, I would like to have time to read the original ordinance and compare to what they're asking for.
And I also think the planning commission should be involved as well,
Right.
and have both commissions collaborate and look at what changes are suggested as well.
I'm looking at the ordinance right now. I was trying to.
Daniel's looking up the ordinance right now, the zoning. But that,
I mean, let's see here.
the two commissions could definitely have a joint meeting and decide what they want
I've got that we've got a civil penalty and a criminal penalty in our ordinance.
in the zoning ordinance.
Well, in the Historic Preservation Commission ordinance.
And,
It's
and
got
we had talked about that, and maybe we just need to assign some penalties through the HPC ordinance.
Well, it says
He's
here-
looking at when we formed the
I mean, it's not
Historic
the-
Planning Commission.
It's not the signed copy, but it's the electronic copy that I drafted. It says any person violating a provision of this ordinance shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and a violation upon conviction be fined not less than $10 nor more than $500 each day that a violation continues to exist shall constitute a separate offense. So, I mean, technically you could run up a really big bill real quick.
Right.
The civil penalty is that the city can go in and sue them to restore it to the way it was before.
So the penalties are there already. So,
Oxford does that all the time. If somebody puts something up and it doesn't matter what the cost is, if they don't have the proper authority, they make them go and tear it down, rip it out.
I'd want to double check our signed copy to make sure that that made it through to the final draft, but I don't see why I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 22 pages long.
Okay, so I think the penalties there. Daniel's gonna make sure, but it looks
Okay.
like the penalties are there. So I don't think it would require us to amend the zoning ordinance. So
I'll look before the meeting's over.
Yeah.
When we get to a
It-
spot.
so-
we can.
we'll just can move forward on that. Well, I do have one question on the replacement of Chad Franks. Remind me, was each commissioner appointed by an alderman or
No, we had to go through a.
we
very-
advertised? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so
Coming
we had to, so we're gonna have to let the public know that there is an opening. Lucky for them, when they drew straws to assign the terms, he drew the 1-year term anyway, so he really didn't have to resign. He would have rolled off anyhow.
So
So
his terms actually was expired.
yeah, it was actually expired. So
So the planning commission just needs to run in the paper and the requirements that were run originally.
that's right.
Yeah. So we can do that. Okay, so was there anything else on the Historical Preservation Commission?
No, that's all.
All right. Okay, the next item is Vivian's court seminar certificate. Well, it just needs to be entered into the minutes that she attended the court court seminar. And she got her certificate for attending. It was a Zoom.
So it's lovely.
It was a Zoom meeting,
3 days.
3-day Zoom meeting, and she did that. We made sure we didn't interrupt her too many times doing that. But anyway, I do need a motion just to enter her certificate into the minutes. Herbie makes a motion, Simmons seconds, all in favor? All right. Debbie Harris, she is not here. Okay, Miss Harris is not here. Okay. Jason is going to speak to us in just a minute about the Dupee and Main Street intersection. We're having some problems with the venue down there with traffic pulling out onto Main and some other things. So Jason, I'll let you.
I know the police department, myself, and I believe the mayor has received a ton of complaints concerning the Main Street and Dupee Street intersection, mainly with cars parking on the Main Street side in front of the Hendricks Building and along the Hendricks Building on Dupee when they go in to get their takeout orders. This little, I believe, did y'all get the little map picture?
Yeah, I got it.
It's not the best picture. I'm not the best with paintbrush, but me and Mark have consulted with the people in using the Hendricks Building. This is kind of a plan we come up with to help with the parking, help with the traffic, and give us some enforcement. Currently, as far as the parking goes, to my knowledge, Water Valley does not have a parking ordinance of any kind other than the state law, which says you cannot park within 30 feet of an approach to a stop sign. Well, the only parking that limits is up Dupee, 30 feet off Main Street, which is about a car and a half. So yellow curbs is, people think it's illegal, but by the letter of the law, I'm not able to find, technically it's illegal to park in a yellow curb. So we added these crosswalks because that is illegal to park on a crosswalk. So if we add the crosswalk, we can eliminate the parking or enforce it and give people a safe way to cross Main Street from the parking lot over by the car wash, the Railroad Museum. Thought is, if they see the crosswalk, they'll go, oh, I can cross the street. Let's park over here. And we kind of subconsciously push people out of where we want them, or away from where we don't want them, rather. And then the flip side is the comment's been made to us, I can't park on a yellow curb, but the curbs are faded and dingy because nobody's been in that building so long, they don't even look yellow. And the rest of Main Street from Dupee north is bright, pretty yellow curbs, bright white parking spaces, looks really, really good. So we're kind of thinking our plan was to kind of, since this building's occupied and doing a really good business right now, kind of continue the look of Main Street through the business district, at least down to the Hendricks Building.
It's basically gonna take away, way I see it, 2, maybe 3 cars.
Yes, sir. If you started parking just south of Dupee, you will lose about 2.5 cars.
Okay,
But you make, the other issue is when you go to pull off Dupee, you have to get into the southbound lane to see if any cars coming north. So it will, now we have parking on the building,
on the Dupee side,
on the Main Street side.
Main Street. okay.
Yes, sir. Added no parking on Dupee because Dupee kind of narrows right there. And if you have to get a fire engine or an ambulance up Dupee and somebody's parked there, it's a really, really tight turn. So this is just kind of tentative little idea we've thrown out to kind of give the police department a little enforcement with the crosswalks and kind of subconsciously help.
Well, the crosswalks would protect or help protect the people coming across the street from the parking lots across the street.
Yes, and we've also kind of got the directional mirror on the opposite side of Main Street from Dupee, kind of like we have on Market Street. So when people come off Dupee, You can use that mirror to see if anybody's on Main Street. I know there's another one on Market where that person, I forget his name, backs out of his driveway. So he can see.
No, Mitchell.
Mitchell. I just couldn't remember. I went blank on his name, but
We're talking about some, we're talking about some paint and a mirror.
yes.
And we're contacting the stripers to restripe the area that we overlaid. So we could get them to make the crosswalk. And of course, Michael's crew can paint the curbs very easily with, repaint them.
Yeah. Now, we do have a backup plan if this doesn't get the solution we want, but we want to hold that in our pocket and try this one first.
If we're ordering mirrors, can I piggyback on this issue coming out of Wagner? If there are vehicles parked on either side, vehicles are completely in the street.
Mhm.
Essentially, they stop traffic to pull out because you can't.
It's the same issue here. I mean,
So if there's a deal on 2 of those mirrors and we could mount it low on the bandstand and
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we can put it on the bandstand. We have to talk about that.
well, if we can mount it across the street from the Wagner Street intersection.
There you go.
I agree with that though.
Better word.
I said dead years.
Or combined wagon, put all some kind of way.
Shut it down.
But on this one here,
Is that a board action or is that just a yes? Our department should do that.
Well, this was brought to me and one of the main complainants told me basically in uncertain terms, I could bring this before the board or he was coming. So I elected to try to handle it before he got in here to show out.
Have DOT approval?
Not for you to do that.
That is,
Michael,
Daniel just brought a point, that might require DOT approval because
For the main.
actually that is 315 highway right there. That is
Well,
315.
How were we able to achieve the crosswalk
No,
at
I didn't
the red light between the depot and HTI? That's also DOT.
That's, he said from the depot south is DOT. So that would.
Yeah, so we already have a crosswalk there. What was the process in getting approval for that?
Which one? I had
It's the
somebody-
crosswalk under the red light between HTI and the depot parking lot.
I think we just put it, I think it was just put there. We didn't ask for permission. I don't think.
I mean, that's the worst
I think-
case scenario.
Sounds like an
I
excellent.
think that was, maybe ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I don't know.
Well, the number one, if we can't get the crosswalk, I feel like painting the curbs and right there on the corner is the main issue.
Yeah, that's the main.
Let me try this. Can I move that we move forward with this plan and ask forgiveness if MDOT has an issue with that crosswalk?
Okay, and I will try to contact the person I know at MDOT, just,
We've needed a crosswalk there for many years now, so I think it's an excellent idea, Jason.
so.
And-
make
Okay.
that motion.
well.
You can also, just a side note, you can also see, just, we don't miss it, we've added one from across Doopy from the Cornerstone lot to the side as well. So we've actually added 2
That's great.
crosswalks.
One across the P, one across. Okay, Kagan made a motion, move forward, and Herbie second, all in favor.
Uh,
All right, so we'll move forward with this plan. All right, you want to go ahead and hit your other things?
The other one is Officer Fort, lost to the Academy in Pearl, January. Moss went in the end of June class, but had to leave due to a medical issue. His ankle is now healed and he's ready to go back. Horton has not been at all. Due to the way Malota does it, we were not charged when Officer Moss went the first time due to when he medicaled out. So we were out very little of any expense on that one. So I'd like to ask him to be able to go back.
Make
Herbie
that-
makes a motion to allow Horton and Moss to go to the academy in January. Nicole seconds that. All in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Get that.
And I'd like to ask to send 6 of our officers, I can't name which ones yet because we hadn't decided, to an active shooter training in Oxford. It's a free class if it makes. Oxford's trying to get somebody to pay the per diem for the instructors. So it's kind of up in the air, but it's going to be the Monday, Tuesday, I believe it's the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday of Thanksgiving week.
Usually
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, isn't it?
Right now, they're with
Okay.
COVID and trying to get instructors and lined up and the per diem paid. It's the exact days are
Okay, it won't matter.
up in the air, but I'd like to send at least 6. I just like, I can't give names because we hadn't worked out scheduling
How many
Who can?
officers you got now?
12.
So you're sending half the crew this
Yes, sir.
time and possibility another half at another time.
Yes, sir. They have-
another date.
They've changed this program, and currently we only have 1 officer that's been through the most current active shooter program, and that's Thomas, which just graduated the academy. So I kind of want to get everybody cycled back through as we're able, and it's a free class, so it's going to cost us gas to Oxford.
What about our school officer? Will
He's going to be one of those 6. He don't know it yet, but he's going to be one of those 6.
Okay, all right. I'll make that motion.
All right, Harry makes a motion to allow these officers to go to the shooter training if it makes.
Second.
Kagan seconds. All in favor?
Uh,
All right, that is unanimous. And then the
And
police
then
chief.
finally is for me to attend the Police Chiefs Winter Conference in Ridgeland in January.
How long is that?
It's Tuesday to Friday. So 4 days.
You staying?
Yes, sir. It'd be 3 nights. I would leave Tuesday morning, come back Friday evening. So it'd be 3 nights in a hotel. And their group rate, I believe, is 119 plus tax for that, or resort and all those extra little sneaky fees they put in.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Make that motion.
was that Kagan? All right, 7 seconds. All in favor? Okay, and that is unanimous. Okay. All right, next we have Billy Childs from Seven Oaks Funeral Home.
I've been asked to come and share with the board some of the advantages of having grave liners at the cemetery. And I'd like to preface this with saying that, you know, as a company and a business that sells these items, we're not here advocating for this. We're just been asked to come and share the advantages with the city and what it might do to help. Of course, a city is also like a business, is that it is an entity and it has to be very careful how it spends money. And from what I have learned in this business in the last couple of years, grave liners help save money in the form of it doesn't take as much upkeep in the cemetery for grounds maintenance. I know Mike and his crew, they're spread kind of thin anyway with all the things that they do, and constant maintenance of the cemetery is something that could help to be alleviated. Now, the agenda here says vaults, but vaults is just a type of grave liner. There are different types, and it can help to, like I said, alleviate those costs associated with having to go back multiple times to the cemetery and have to keep up. Matter of fact, I was in Memphis here a while back at a very nice cemetery up there. And the way they went about it, when they walked away from that grave before I left, they won't have to go back. They did some work there that, well, will preclude them from ever having to touch that grave again. So Michael could probably speak more to how often they have to go back and to address graves that are sinking and the work that's required to fix that. But we only have one cemetery in the county that requires vaults at the time, and it is Pinecrest Cemetery. It's privately owned, as the one that's on number 6 highway that we all are aware of when we go to Batesville. And all of those cemeteries require vaults, and it helps them with their maintenance. So any of you have any questions I could address for you?
What's the average cost? I mean, I know there's different kinds. I mean, there's, I think, concrete, there's metal,
There's polyvinyl, which is a form of plastic. There's concrete sealed vaults, and there's also what they call a concrete box, which is not sealed, but it also keeps the grave from caving in. So those costs associated to the clients can range anywhere from $1,000, and the nicest vaults are around $6,000. So, but there are different forms. I'm sorry. I think thought I heard somebody.
That was a speeding vehicle going past my clinic. Sorry about that. It probably sounded like someone screaming, but it's actually one of those
Okay.
crotch rocket, I guess.
Yep.
Go about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Tell the chief come down here. He comes about 4 times a day.
But,
But I can see where this would be advantageous for the city. Again, I'm not advocating for this. I just want to fulfill the needs my clients require of me. And probably, I would say somewhere in the area of 35% of our clientele use vaults all over the county, even surrounding counties that we serve. But they are an advantage. And if after you discuss this, if you need any further information from me, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I'll provide what I can.
thank you, Bill.
Can I ask Michael something?
Yeah, sure.
Mayor, Michael, in,
Michael,
Yes, sir.
Harvey's got a question for you.
in the maintenance of these graves, I know most of our graves has been up on top of the hill, which was required probably less maintenance than the ones that we're getting starting down the hill now. As we go down the hill, what will be the say right words, advantages to you and our crew to have these have vaults?
Well, one of the best part about the vault is when we go out to the cemetery and trying to find a body. The casket is so much deeper in the ground that you can't hardly probe around and find that you get about a 7-foot probe, and then sometimes you can't get that down in the ground. But you can come in on even a poly vault, or as Billy said, any of them you can find, be able to find the casket. We've got people that still very bad about not putting monuments up, and you knock these little plastic markers down. Then you have to get in there and you got to probe and measure and all this just to find, and then you don't know who that person is. But if you have a vault, you kind of got it in its plot and you can know where to go. But as far as it would help us, normally when we bury a Howard grave, we're going to go back anywhere from 2 to 4 times to get it all settled back up, because you just keep settling around it with cat. Because with the casket, after a period of time, the casket will start sinking in.
Okay.
Okay, but with a vault, poly vault, whatever, all that I've seen, it stays there. You can always find it. It's not going to give it. It's going to be sitting there from now on, basically on solid ground.
So if you're going back to a grave 2 to 4 times, on the average time repairing a grave or getting it back to where it's supposed to be, you would have equipment, you'd have a backhoe, you'd have excavator and a couple of men plus the dirt. That's true, Mike.
You're going to use something, either one of them all the time. But then we're trying to get where when we do get it down so much, if we remove the grass from a previous grave that we're doing now, we take it and go back and work this other grave down and try and put the grass to try and help people from settling anymore.
Okay. Well, I know just last month or month before last, we spent $700 on the excavator.
Mhm.
And the excavator is basically used in the cemetery.
That is for the cemetery.
That's basically what it's.
So-
we have to use it somewhere.
Would I be safe in saying that we would save a lot of wear and tear on the equipment we got that really needs to be replaced?
Yeah, and some of you doing with just manual labor, I mean, just wheelbarrows and shovels.
Yeah.
Let me interject something that I think it was last year that in the old part of the cemetery, Michael called me one day and trying to be delicate here, but a very old grave had totally caved in and there was no evidence of any casket, vault or anything. And so you can imagine what was open to be viewed where it caved in. And of course, that was one where they had to wheelbarrow dirt across to fill that grave in. There's no markers. We don't know how long. It's a very, very old grave. But you've got that situation throughout the cemetery. And I don't want to add any additional expense on families. You know, that's a big thing. But it would make it, quote, easier on us, on our people. But, you know, I've already told Michael, why put me in a vault? I want dust to dust. But, you know, I do know that some cemeteries do require it. But again, that's an additional expense on a family sometimes.
You know, Mayor, like you're talking about that, I'll give you a good example where we got into one. We had a grave that we had to dig. Previous, we had the other spouse there had been dead, passed away for 5 months roughly. The other part of the family was on the other side, and they've been dead for
Years.
over 12 years, 15 years. When we started digging to put this one in the center where they had to go, we ended up having over a 12-foot open that they couldn't even set nothing up or anything because the ground kept giving away because there wasn't nothing but casket on either side. If you have your vault water, it's gonna cave on top of the ground just a little bit, but you still have solid down under the ground. But before the time we got there, we had to take the machine and rigging device and lower that casket over in the hole because there was no other way to get to it. So it just keeps caving off. We uncovered 2 graves doing this little process.
Anyone else want to express their opinion on this? I mean,
I had a couple of things, if you don't mind. It sounds like if the minimum is 1,000, and then, you know, up to 6,000, it really is placing a burden on the family. And does City of Water Valley or the cemetery make any money off the sale of that, the vault or the liner? It's just something that would be like a monument that you would purchase from.
no, it would be part of the funeral cost.
Also, right. Okay.
No matter which funeral home might be handling, whether it's our local ones or one from out of town or wherever, they would sell the liner, the vault, casket, you know, as part of the funeral cost. But
Do
it
we
would
allow that now? I mean, is it an option? Is it an
Oh,
option
yeah.
at this time? So you can't.
A lot of people use it.
it.
Yeah, a lot of people do use them, but it's always been the family choice, so to speak.
I see. So what we're really discussing is a mandatory, every person that is buried there must have a vault, a liner or a vault.
That's what we're,
Okay. And I know that we went up on the sale of the lots there to try to cover some of the costs of the manual labor and the excavator and things like that, when we reviewed some of the expenses in the cemetery there. But if we're going to do that, don't we own more? Does not the city of Water Valley have more than one city-owned?
we have 2 cemeteries. It would have to apply equally to both cemeteries.
Right, because really what we've just talked about is Oak Hill. We haven't talked about the other cemetery.
No, it would have to apply to both cemeteries. You can't, you know, make
Right, make one way and not the other.
That's right.
And so we really need to look at the average cost of a funeral and maybe the burden
For
that
the
that would
family.
place on families for a mandatory thing like that. I think that's something that needs to be further discussed and maybe.
I think, yeah,
with
I
the
think you're right
general
there.
public as well, instead of, you know, just one
Then
time
maybe-
board meeting.
Just kind of table this and everybody think about it and we could bring it back up at a different time. Because this is a pretty big decision to make a requirement on a family.
You know, a minimum of an extra $1,000 when Mike and I talked about it not too long ago. Families here are struggling with actually placing a headstone. And some graves up there go for years or never get a headstone at all. And Mike, can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead since we're discussing this? You know, if we wanted to talk about the mandatory headstone issue, because a lot of times the markers that are there, the temporary markers are the only thing that are there, and then those are eventually lost to the elements or to mowing or weeding, that kind of thing.
I've talked with another individual about their cemetery with these people that doesn't put markers down. And what they do is on their burial is when they have an opening closing, they have a set fee that they add to that opening closing. And within a 12-month period of time, they have that much time to put a head marker down. But if they haven't done the head marker by then, you already have the money to buy a little bitty 12 by 18 plat that you can put it down on the ground. But now if they come in there and put a head marker down, after that 12 months or say 6 months, if they put it down, they're still not reimbursed because they should have already had it put down. But if they don't do it, you already got the money to buy that plat and put it where that grave can be known instead of having an unknown grave and not knowing who's there. There are some out here that don't know who they are now. Because the plat, the markers done been broke off from the ground and stuff. You're gonna have to do some digging on the research on the map and hope you got the right one when you're going. What I've done so far, I've tried to get it in the right spot, but there has been some that I can't tell you who it is. I've got something that's over 5 years and hadn't put a head marker down yet.
Right. And you said, what was the average cost of that little marker that's a permanent one that we can put down?
$80 to $100.
Yeah, see, look at the difference of the price of something that we need to mark our graves with. We need to, this is a good start of trying to incorporate a lower cost. I'm not against the vaults. I know exactly why they're needed, and I appreciate the vaults. I just always am thinking about the average person and the cost of anyway, I'm not against it. I just want to talk about it a little bit more in public with that, but that seems like a reasonable cost to be able to mark our graves here in our cemeteries and not be lost to history, who is where.
I'm happy to share that I would be against mandating vaults. I can think of a handful of folks that come to mind that have talked about dust to dust and wanting to be rejoined with the earth. And right now, everybody has the choice. They, based on their finances and their religious beliefs, they can do whatever they like. And I think with our increased rate for burial plots, we can afford to revisit and add some soil as plots settle. That's just my personal feeling.
I agree with that.
Okay,
We'd
so
like to see an option for permanent headstone or marker. Thank you, Mr.
The-
Redford.
it's good to have the markers for sure. So we can identify. But if you collect the money up front and then the family puts a headstone up within 3 months, we've got their money that we're not gonna refund.
No, Mike said that it will be refundable.
No, he said non-refundable.
So that was after 12 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought he said
You know,
refundable.
He said non-refundable.
everybody I said, we put someone in, I asked them if they could. I like it before 12 months, but if nothing else, within 6 to 8 months, because the ground is going, well, we're going to set the marker because we changed it up. There's solid ground to set the monument. They were told in the past, you can't set nothing until after 12 months or better. Well, that's baloney. You can go ahead and do it, and that's why I tell everybody now, go ahead and start working on your monument, because it's going to take you 3 or 4 months to get it built, made. So by that time, you can go ahead and set it up. I make a requirement to put a good concrete base light down, or piers under it, so that the monument won't settle. But after a certain period of time, it needs to be, because I'm not gonna say my guys doesn't break them little plastic markers out whenever we cutting grass or the paper deteriorates on it. You don't know who everything is. So it's just too much work to have to go get the books and the maps and stuff and lay out and figure out who you got there.
And you said you know of another cemetery that's currently doing that, Mike?
Yes, we got one here in the county that they have that set, that they have to, they add that little bit on their opening and closing. And then they have that certain period of time. If he hadn't, they're sorry, they go ahead and put it down, but they're not gonna be refunded because they've had to spend the money on the marker.
Okay, so it can be incorporated in the opening and closing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what he
Yeah.
said.
It's just hard for me to hear for some reason. Would that be a policy that Mike wanted to get a copy of, that we would look at, just to discuss later to see?
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a good idea, just because, again, you hadn't cost, but
Right, but
I get that
the
too.
difference in cost, we're adding $50 to $100 versus $1,000 to $6,000.
Right.
And mandatory, like Megan said,
Anyway,
some people wouldn't want that.
yes. Okay, so let's just revisit those items at a different time. We'll look at some other cemeteries policies and try to get those to y'all so you can study them and make a more educated comments on it. Okay, moving along. Tractor surplus. If y'all will recall back about 2 years ago, we bought a new tractor. And they told us they were giving us X number of dollars trade-in on the tractor. Well, they reduced the cost of the tractor we bought. But they said, no, y'all didn't trade it in. We still got your tractor over here. So I got a call last week from a man from Calhoun City that had been to that tractor place in Bruce. And he was wanting to buy that tractor that was sitting there in the weeds. And they said, no, that belongs to the city of Water Valley. And so he's of course wanting to, he made us an offer, but we do have to declare it surplus, of course. So there's, Mike, you remember what that tractor is we took over?
The JX75 case.
This is a JH75 case tractor that we need to declare surplus. And once we're declared surplus, I think we can put it on the government.deals. And I can call this guy. And I think that would be the proper thing to do.
I agree.
And so Daniel says that's right. So I should declare that tractor surplus, and Herbie makes that motion. Have a second.
Mayor, if we do that one, is there any way we could put one more with that same deal? We have another one sitting there that's not being used either.
Well, let's get this one done first. Okay, so we're declaring this one surplus. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. I will try to get a picture so we can get it put on government.deal And I'll tell the gentleman to look on there and to bid on it there.
Have we successfully sold any of those garbage trucks or any of the other stuff?
We've sold some things, but not any of the real,
We
Big
haven't got to
item.
the garbage truck. We've sold the police cars, the trailer beside the police department, one of the water department trucks, a fire engine.
Wow.
That's all that comes to mind off the top of my head.
We-
We're
we-
slowly cycling on through.
we hadn't sold the garbage truck yet, but we've
No,
sold
I've
some of the
sold
items. I don't know if y'all heard the ones.
Now that- so-
Few at a time. And,
That's-
better than nothing.
yeah, hey,
We're just going kind of slow so we don't get overwhelmed with all the auctions closing at one time, and all the buyers showing up at one time. So we're kind of just spacing them out.
I think it's great. Thank you.
what's your other one you want to?
That was 574 sitting up yonder on the hill there, that,
Five.
junk.
What 574
574 international,
International, you know what year model? I mean,
1970.
okay, Mike's got
Is this a tractor?
another tractor, it's 574 International, year model 1974. He wants to declare surplus and put it on government.deals also. Kagan makes a motion, Cinnamon seconds, all in favor? Okay, and that is unanimous. He's gonna give me a picture so we can get it on there. Okay, next items is Vivian's favorite things is the holiday closings. And Veterans Day, November 11th. Thanksgiving, November 26th, 27th. Christmas, 24th, 25th of December. And this year, the governor is giving them New Year's Eve as well as New Year's Day. So that'll be December 31st and January the 1st of 2021. So I just need a motion to put those in the minutes. Herbie makes a motion, Nicole seconds, all in favor,
Aye.
and that is unanimous. So we will. Okay, Christmas dinner. Because of the pandemic and all, Vivian, I've been talking about this. What we are suggesting this year, we do it on December the 10th, but we will prepare each worker's meal and a to-go. They will come by, pick up their meal. You know, I hate this, but we don't have a place big enough for all of our departments to come in and eat without social distancing, and you can't eat with a mask on. So,
We may do it at the Armory. I talked to Mark.
yeah.
Because it's got more room.
So we may have them where they drive through up at the Armory, using the back part there. There's plenty of room where we can get in there and prepare everything. And then as they come up, we can give it. And I think that's the best option right now that we can come up with. So, any discussion on that or anything?
We've already ordered the plates and stuff.
Okay. All right, so just, I reckon just a motion, just so we can have this done this way. Hurry makes a motion, have a second. Nicole second, so all in favor. Y'all make sure, we'll remind you again, December the 10th. We'll remind you for next meeting, y'all, please come by also. We'll have a plate prepared for you. Okay, does anyone else have anything? All right, Cinnamon.
The Mississippi Municipal League's winter conference is coming up, and we usually vote to see if anyone wants to go, including Daniel or anybody else. So
But I would move to approve the cost of that event for any board member or the mayor or Daniel.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
Okay.
All right, Nicole seconds, all in favor,
Aye.
and that is. Okay. Did you know the dates on that yet? I saw it, but it's,
yeah, I had a tentative date.
we can look it up.
Yeah,
It's-
it's in your emails.
That's fine.
I had a couple things. Have we had any progress with Mr. Fox on his fence and kudzu?
No, he has had some additional surgery. So he, he's made some statements after the surgery for us to stay off of there. But we have to continue to spread the dirt and to do the things that we're required to do to get it, you know. But we are at an impasse still
Okay.
with him.
Has anybody
Uh,
looked at it?
So
I hadn't got them down there yet. or
Uh,
half of my dirt pushed in.
they, you know, he wanting a guarantee that if we spray the kudzu, it won't come back.
We ain't gonna have that. Because
Can't guarantee
It's
that.
because of it. And so, you know, that's an impasse right now till somebody blinks. I mean, you know, and
And the property is surrounded by kudzu. isn't it?
all the way over to Jones Street, all the way up Stevens. Fred's got it on his place. I mean, it's all over. I mean, it's, so, I mean, we cannot make that guarantee too. But,
we can spray
The-
it once, but unless he maintains it, it'll come
No.
back.
But the other thing that is oddly, it seems contentious and political. The thing I get comments most about in the last month or so have been the businesses in town that are not having their staff wear masks. It seems like most of the businesses have just decided for, I don't understand why, that it doesn't matter. And there are a couple food preparation places that have been,
Jason and I just had that discussion before the meeting. Going to address that with especially two businesses that I've received complaints on. And then I think he's got another one. So at least 3 businesses are not compliant. And, you know, people just need to remember what the governor said to start with, that we can make things stricter than he does. We just can't make anything any easier. Our mandate is still in force, a mask mandate for the city of Water Valley. And people need to realize that. And
Speaking of that, let's just go ahead and declare that it's still a local emergency.
okay, Daniel said that we might be a good idea for us just to go ahead and declare this as still a local emergency.
And that it's been a local emergency since the last time we declared it, which was,
Yeah.
I think, back in March.
Yeah. So, and folks, look at our numbers. I mean, look at our numbers in the last month or so. You know, our county has gone up over 100 cases. Our county has.
it was
And,
50 last week.
Yeah, I mean, we hit the 40 something right at one lick, you know, in the nursing home. And
Mhm.
so I just need a motion that we do declare this still a local emergency.
Make the
And
motion.
Fred makes motion, Kagan seconds, all in favor. Okay. So, and
Because then I
David,
know that our citizens are uncomfortable having those conflicts or interactions with business owners. We're going to be the bad people, but that's fine. Folks need to put the masks on.
there's one business did it the very first week. The mayor's making you do this on the door, and I said, that's fine. One of my favorite people, but anyway. Okay, anyone else have anything? Okay, I think we have some items that would declare an executive session. So I would entertain a motion to,
Motion to consider executive session.
okay, Kay makes a motion. We have a second, Simmons seconds, all in favor?
Uh,
All right, so we'll let some people adjourn and then we'll,
So David, are you headed out or should I boot you?
just go ahead and tell him it's personnel issues and I can tell him later, people.
He's there.
He's still there.
I mean,
Okay,
you know, maybe he's walked away.
I'm going to stop recording as well.